He was locked away, forgotten by most, his name erased from the outside world. But inside that cold courtroom, something happened that no one expected. A black inmate, burdened by years of injustice, made a single request, one so unusual, so deeply human, that it brought the entire court to a standstill. What could compel a judge, bound by law and tradition, to break the silence and fulfill it? This isn't just a courtroom story. It's a glimpse into a truth far larger and far more unsettling. Before the silence of that courtroom, there was a man whose story few cared to hear. His name was Marcus, a son, a brother, once a promising young man whose dreams were stolen long before he ever set foot behind bars. Born into a world where opportunity was scarce and suspicion came easy, Marcus carried the weight of being judged long before he faced a judge. In prison, days bled into each other, gray walls, iron bars, the echo of footsteps marking time. To many, he was just another inmate. But to those who knew his story, Marcus was more than a number. He was a symbol of how quickly society turns its back. Yet even in that place, where hope is meant to die, Marcus held on to one final desire. It was simple, deeply personal, and it spoke to the part of him the system could never erase. And when the moment came to voice it in court, no one was ready for what followed. Marcus's life had already been carved by prejudice long before the gavel came down. Growing up, he learned early that being black meant being watched more closely, judged more harshly, punished more quickly. Teachers doubted him, employers overlooked him, and police seemed to know his name before he ever gave it. Every step forward felt like a fight against an invisible current pulling him back. Then came the night that sealed his fate. He was in the wrong place at the wrong time, or at least that's what they told him. A crime had been committed nearby, and Marcus, with no weapon, no stolen goods, and no record of violence, fit the description. Young, black, male, that was enough. Within hours, he was in handcuffs, staring at a future he couldn't control. The courtroom was no better. The prosecution painted him as dangerous, untrustworthy, a man society needed to forget. Witnesses were shaky, evidence thin, but the weight of systemic bias was heavy. The jury, mostly white, saw not Marcus the son or Marcus the dreamer. They saw a stereotype. And when the verdict came, it was less about proof than perception. Guilty. Just like that, his voice was silenced, and his fate sealed. Years in prison followed, years of being reduced to a number, years of watching the world move on without him. The walls around him were more than concrete. They were built from decades of discrimination stacked high. And yet beneath that weight, Marcus clung to one last piece of humanity, a desire the prison system could not take from him. That desire became the heartbeat of his days. He thought of it when the nights grew unbearable, when loneliness clawed at him, when injustice threatened to strip away every trace of hope. It was small, simple, but powerful. And though it might have seemed trivial to others, to Marcus, it was proof that he was still a man, still capable of wanting, still worthy of dignity. When the day finally came for Marcus to stand in front of a judge once more, it was supposed to be routine. Just another proceeding lost in stacks of paperwork. No one expected anything unusual. But Marcus carried with him that quiet, unshakable desire. And when he spoke it aloud in the courtroom, every eye turned, every sound faded, and silence took over. Because what he asked for wasn't about crime or punishment. It was about something far deeper. And in that moment, the entire court would be forced to confront not only his humanity, but their own. The courtroom was hushed, the air thick with expectation. Marcus stood there, hands trembling, not from fear of chains or verdicts this time, but from the weight of finally being heard. For years, his voice had been muted, drowned by stereotypes, and silenced by the system. Now, every eye rested on him. And then, he spoke. He didn't ask for freedom. He didn't beg for forgiveness. What he asked for was something so deeply human, so achingly simple, that it left the room frozen. He wanted a chance, not to rewrite his past, but to hold on to the last thread of dignity that prison couldn't strip away. A request born not out of defiance but of hope, love, and the unshakable belief that his life still mattered. The judge leaned forward, stunned. The attorneys exchanged glances, unsure of what to make of it. Murmurs spread through the gallery as if people couldn't decide whether to be moved or unsettled. For the first time in years, Marcus wasn't just a defendant, or an inmate, or a statistic. He was a man, reminding everyone that beneath the labels and judgments, there beats a human heart. And then it happened. The gavel did not fall with the cold finality he had come to expect. Instead, the silence stretched, thick and unbreakable, as the entire court waited, breath held, for the judge's response. What came next would either crush the last piece of Marcus's spirit or prove that even within a system built to silence him, humanity could still break through. The judge's voice finally broke the silence. Against all expectation, Marcus's request was granted. It wasn't freedom, and it didn't erase the years of injustice he had endured, but it was a moment that restored something the system had long tried to take away: his humanity. In that instant, Marcus was no longer invisible. His desire, simple yet profound, reminded everyone that behind prison walls live men and women whose voices matter, whose dignity still counts. For Marcus, it meant more than anyone in that courtroom could fully understand. It was proof that even in a system built on brokenness and bias, a single act of recognition could ripple outward. It didn't erase the pain, the lost years, or the discrimination that placed him there in the first place. But it gave him back something priceless: the right to be seen. And for the courtroom, those jurors, lawyers, and strangers in the gallery, it was a moment they would not forget. A reminder that justice isn't only about punishment, it's about humanity. That silence which filled the room wasn't just shock, it was reflection. But what about us? How many Marcuses are out there right now, unheard, unseen, defined only by a system that too often confuses justice with judgment? His story isn't just about one man, it's about the cracks in the foundation of fairness and the lives swallowed by them every single day. So the question lingers: will we allow these stories to be forgotten, or will we finally listen, before another courtroom falls silent for all the wrong reasons?